we need to buy a striker in January. I alluded to it when I did the video immediately after the game against Leeds, and I said I would talk about it another time, and here we are. It was very evident to me that was the case when Scamacca went off and Antonio came on. Antonio, okay, let's get to Scamacca. I didn't think Scamacca played brilliantly. I didn't, but there was a mistake and an opportunity because of that mistake. I think it might have been Aronson at Leeds, was afforded to Scamacca, and he took full advantage of that error. He struck a beautiful shot, low, curling, accurate. I don't know, something about a hard shot that hits the post and goes in. Quite like it. Makes a nice ping. I like that. It was good. But he didn't have a great game, but I don't blame him for that. We didn't create many chances. That boy can strike a ball. He really can. I think one of the things that was wrong about that game against, it's not just Leeds, is when you've got someone that good at striking the ball, why are we waiting on a mistake from Leeds before he can get the opportunity to do it? That boy should be given, I don't know, I keep calling him a boy. He's a big, scary dude, right? That guy, we should be putting chances on a plate for him. That guy should be getting shots inside the box each and every game. But that's a problem with our supply line. We'll get to that another time. Maybe even later on in this video. My point is, I didn't feel we were brilliant. All right? I didn't. I don't think he was fantastic. But he got his goal. He got his goal despite the team, despite the setup, despite the supply line. So when he went off, I thought, okay, well, he's got his goal. He wasn't brilliant anyway. Antonio came on. Pretty quickly after Antonio came on, I felt we missed Scamacca. My point being, I thought we'd be all right at the time because I didn't think he'd been brilliant. But as average as I thought Scamacca had been, there was still a drop-off in quality when Antonio was subbed on. There's no easy way of saying this, really, because I like Antonio, and it's not, it's not easy. I'd much rather be sitting here doing videos sort of praising our players. I often say praising an overhead kick that hasn't happened yet. I really would. But Antonio just doesn't look effective as a striker anymore. Now, I know he's gone through most of his career not being a striker, I get that, but there was a period where he looked dangerous. He looked like a real handful, a real menace for defenders, and he looked like he'd score. All right, not a goal every other game, but Antonio looked like he might score once every 3 games or something like that. Well, that's okay, right? That's not too bad at all. We'll take that. He looks like his touch has deserted him. He's just not the same player that he was 2 years ago, and I am sorry to say that. And it sounds a bit mean, but it is the truth. He tries hard and he is working hard. And I'm not saying it's all finished for him. I think there may well still be a place for Antonio, but possibly as a substitute winger, an impact sub off the wing or something like that. But it has to be when the team's playing well, because unfortunately we relied on Antonio for far too long. The onus was on him to get the goals to bully the defenders. He does not give defenders a particularly difficult game anymore. And he's actually become a little bit of a liability. We almost conceded a goal because of Antonio against Leeds. He basically went looking for a free kick. Didn't get one, ended up on the floor, which happens a lot more these days. He does tend to look for it. But this was in our box. Leeds were attacking us near the end of the game. And he was appealing to the referee. The referee said, just play on. And they had an attack. I understand why he's brought back for defending. He's a big, strong guy, right? But his decision-making defensively had deserted him. Now, I shouldn't even be saying that because he shouldn't even been asked to defend, but I get why he's in there. The trouble is his decision-making from an attacking standpoint has deserted him as well. You only have to go back and look at that Brentford game when he didn't pass to Benrahma. He then went on and did the air shot, which we spoke about. But the pass should have gone to Benrahma in that game. He looks ineffective. And that's a problem for us. Just him being our second choice striker is an issue. And this is why we absolutely must go out and buy. Or loan. I don't actually care. Right? We've got to go out and get a striker in this transfer window. Without labouring the point too much, I feel the third choice was Maxwel Cornet. We don't know what's going on with Maxwel Cornet. And I think he was all right. The one glimpse I saw of him up front, alongside Scamacca as a partner, which I'm going to try and make the case for us getting a partner for Scamacca in a second, Cornet, I thought he looked good. I thought they looked good, but we cannot bank on him. There is no evidence to suggest he's going to play in the second part of the season. There's a hope, but there can't really be any expectation because there's no evidence to suggest he'll be there. So I actually think Cornet needs replacing. Funny enough, not just as the third choice striker, but I think Cornet needs replacing because we lack a bit of pace and we need another winger. That's why he was brought in for. A really useful utility player in the squad if fit. But if fit is the one, because there's not even any if. He's not fit, he hasn't been fit. He's not an option for West Ham. He's not an option for David Moyes, or it's not even just David Moyes, whoever the manager might be going forward. He's just not an option there for us. Don't think that's the case at all. Before I go any further, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. Now, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest West Ham news, not just the results, you probably don't want to keep up to date with those, do you? Let's be perfectly honest. But the injury news, which might be pertinent for what I'm talking about, but at the moment, January transfer window time, the transfer news, then the OneFootball app is the place to go. You can download it by using the link below. The OneFootball app is free, and at the point of downloading it to your phone, it asks you which team you support and what competitions you're interested in. If you put in West Ham, then what it will do is it will go around the internet, around the newspaper, searching for all the West Ham stories, so you don't have to. It will pluck them and it will pick them and it will bundle them up for you and then deliver them straight to your phone. If you're going to download it, you haven't done so before, please do use the link below rather than searching for it on the Play Store or anything, because then at least I'll know you've come from Hammers Chat, and then we'll get a nice pat on the head. Not a cow pat, obviously. So, I would argue we need to go and get somebody else anyway. We cannot rely on... So forget about Cornet for a minute. That's different. That's injury. Antonio's fit. And I just don't feel like he's a threat anymore. The other alternative is to move Jared Bowen off the wing. I don't want to do that. He's just coming into form. He really is. All right, he hasn't scored, but he's winning penalties. He looks really good at the moment, Bowen. And we've waited a long time for him to get back to form. Because basically we're going to need goals from that right side. If we put him in the middle, we'll lose. We won't get any goals from the right side. We just won't get any. We cannot do that. So we must bring somebody in. And if I was going to do it, I'd bring somebody in totally different to Scamacca. I think we're a little bit caught up on this. But, you know, Antonio's big, Scamacca's big. All right, I know, different. But you know what I'm saying. I'd go for a diminutive striker. I really would. I know it's not Moyes' way, but I don't think we can count too much on it. I'd be gobsmacked if Moyes here at the end of the season. Do you know what? In actual fact, if he was, I'd be pleased because it means we've stayed up. I would hope anyway. You know. If what happened is we've gone on some run, but I keep saying this, it's just not happening. The run is not happening. If we went on some run and we, whatever, do you know, I'd take, crikey, I was going to say I'd take 13th at the moment. You know, I don't think I'd take 17th because it's going to be a bit too much squeaky bum. But I'll tell you what, I'd take 14th, 15th, I'd take just surviving at the moment. But I think if we're going to get out of this, then it ain't going to be David Moyes that takes us out of this. So with that in mind, I don't think we can pick our player too much David Moyes in mind. I'm not even sure it should be him that gets to choose. I think his judgment is flawed. I really do. I'd just let somebody else choose the striker. And I'd get somebody different. I'd get somebody different so as we can partner somebody with Scamacca. Now, I understand if it is under Moyes, he's probably not going to start. But when things get desperate, another attacker, a different attacker, Scamacca comes deep. It'd be nice to have someone to run in behind him. It'd be nice to have someone... bit skillful, bit tricky, just a little, and fast. Fast. Can we have a fast player, please? I definitely feel we definitely need a bit of pace. I might have mentioned it before, actually. But we must go and buy a striker. We really must. I think it was quite telling that the board, well, whatever, they leaked a story that they had offered David Moyes a striker. And apparently he'd said, no, we'll be absolutely fine with Scamacca and Antonio. I don't think you'll find too many people that believe that. I think Moyes is almost on his own in that one. I think it, you think it, and I think the board think, well, the board clearly do think it as well. I don't know. It's a major concern, a real major concern. He's not going to play any of the youth lads, is he? So I think it is important that we get somebody in that has some sort of senior pedigree. I was just going to hear more of the same from Moyes. Anyway, do you know what? I'm actually sick. Believe it or not, I'm sick of talking about David Moyes. But it's almost impossible to do any of these videos without factoring him in because he is the manager. But my word, he done off suck the joy out of everything. Honestly, having David Moyes in charge, because the way he is with signings, you normally enjoy transfer windows, suck the joy out of it for me. You know, same thing, suck the joy out of watching the games, you know, because it's so turgid and so rubbish. I don't even think, he doesn't think it's part of his job, but it really is, you know, to try and get the crowd up for it, to try and get the fans excited. We'll see. It's a long time, seems like a long time until Wolves, doesn't it? It's almost like the FA Cup doesn't count. It does. It does count because it's a game and it's West Ham and it gives us something to watch. But it does afford us a little bit of time to go out and have a look at the January transfer window. The people that really mean it are already making signings. I think it's about time we did the same.